Gun malfunctions. They happen to the best of us, and even more to the worst of us. Trying to diagnose malfunctions in a normal gun can already be an arduous task. So it shouldn't come as a shock that DIY guns can also be just the same, if not a little bit worse. There's a multitude of things that can go wrong, and you can spend up to days if not weeks trying to diagnose it. At least that was the case for my Mod 9. The surprise double taps were fixed by replacing the disconnector spring. While that one ended up being a rather easy fix, other things might not be nearly as simple. Let's take a look at my FGC9 Mark II. For what feels like over a month now, I was unable to get proper extraction, and was forced to treat it like some sort of wacky bolt action. So I thought it would be at least somewhat beneficial for you guys to see how I usually deal with this stuff, since I know it can be very frustrating. However, for this video, I'm going to keep it mostly on the FGC9 Mark II, mostly since I've been troubleshooting for it the most as of late. Though, as my arsenal grows, I hope to revisit this subject. For now, though, let's start where everything went wrong with my Mark II. Ruptured primers, not to be confused with a powder battery explosion. A ruptured primer happens whenever your firing pin strikes too deep, more or less. I've had what feels like up to 30 of these happen to me, and really nothing has happened to my upper. It did cause my bolt to get trapped in the buffer tube, and it also caused the bullet casing to get trapped inside the chamber. Something YouTube terms of service, something. However, due to some unforeseen circumstances, I had to make a second bird feeder. And even worse, the seed feeding channel was also slightly off, and there's a steel shortage. I also used duplex nails to build a birdhouse for my garden because the old one didn't fit. There's a lot more for me to discuss about this, however, I'll save that for the FGC9 Mark II video. Since I was unable to get any steel in a reasonable amount of time, I decided I was going to try to salvage what would be the worst Mark II ever made. This allowed me to experience as many malfunctions as one could imagine for the Mark II. And oh boy, has it been a very entertaining past couple of weeks. When one problem is fixed, another problem could easily appear. As many times when things would appear to be functioning well, actually nothing had changed. Now, should you be worried about this happening to you? No, I barely follow the guide. You should be fine as long as you follow it. What it does show is that the design is very open to alterations if you can't get everything to work just right. After all, this is a DIY firearm, so of course it is very open to improvisations. Even with the addition of convenient kits, you're going to still need to know how to troubleshoot. Luckily, the Mark II's guide has a very detailed troubleshooting section for many of the common failures you may have. One of the biggest ones I can think of is head spacing. Or in other words, the distance between your feeder and seed. Too little space and you end up pushing the bullet too far down the chamber, causing failure to extract. Too much space? Well, this. Luckily, the Mark II's files comes with a head spacing jig that should avoid that. And if that doesn't work, be sure to check your chamber as well. You may have to recut it, or you can start using a flex on brush. Really, just don't give up if things aren't working out with what you're doing. Chances are you could probably caveman everything like I did to make it work. And yes, I managed to make my Mark II work, and pretty good too. Here's a little sneak peek at what's next.
it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, touch it, bring it, pay it,
Hey,
watch
let me
it,
take
turn
their
it,
ass back to the club real
format
quick.
it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it, turn it, leave it, stop, format it, touch it, bring it, pay it, watch it.